Okay. So this is the Oz report for December 2nd, 2023. And let's start, as usual, with Plex and Plex adjacent items. So Plex itself, we saw a Black Friday sale going on for Plex, around 20 to 25% off of the Plex price. That is driving Plex prices down. However, we also are seeing a sale in the NES store now, which is right here. And we have the starter packages off 30 to 40%, which sound like a huge deal. But as I was saying earlier on the stream, these are a little bit overpriced anyway. So with this, yes, they are a good deal now, but they're just not an amazing deal. So the result overall is that the Plex price really hasn't changed all that much. The last Oz report 2 weeks ago, we were just above 5 million. We're over 5 million again. Yes, it has fluctuated a little bit overall, but it's just not going places right now. 5 million is where it is stuck. On the other hand, if we're looking at skill extractors, this is very interesting because, again, we had the big NES store Plex 2-for-1 extractor sale in June that crashed the price all the way below 400 million. We climbed all the way back up to 480 until in November we had the real money 2-for-1 sale this time. That didn't have as much of an effect as the Plex store one. We've talked about this quite a bit, but still we dropped to the region of 430 or so. Now we have another sale going on that does deliver some extractors as part of the platinum starter package, and so overall now we're back at 420 buy and 448 or so sell. So expect this to recover again a little bit, but extractor prices are down overall. Large skill injectors, on the other hand, these are, interestingly enough, going back up. This definitely has to do with a lot of people also returning to EVE Online. We had concurrent player numbers of logged in characters of over 40,000 last week. That's massive, right? So people coming back always means people are reskilling, people are in the market for large skill injectors, and so we are seeing large skill injector prices up. So Plex unchanged, skill extractors down, skill injectors up. Overall, that means that we're seeing a very big skill farming profit again. The skill farming profit at a 12-month subscription right now is 1.2 billion per month per account. That means a year you're making almost 15 billion on an account that you're just running, which is a free account that you're extracting skills from on a regular basis, and that is pretty massive. 2 weeks ago we were down to 500-600 million, and so this is pretty massive. So expect overall this large skill injector high to not last. I expect skill extractor prices to be rising again. I expect skill injector prices to be dropping again. So the long-term profit for skill farming should be going back down significantly below 1 billion. Now, let's look at some other things. First of all, I want to look at the new ships because we haven't talked about them yet. We have the battle cruisers, the faction battle cruisers from the Havoc expansion, the Alligator and the Kizriel. Now, these should be around 500-600 million looking at the raw materials, but then of course, they're still rare. People have to get the BPCs together, and people also need to build them, and they want them paid. So these have dropped significantly over time, but 860 million is still quite a significant premium that you're paying for the Alligator. The Kizriel is even worse, 880 million. If you're looking at the faction destroyers, so the Mamba and the Mekobal, they're both at around 190 million, which is also, raw materials right now cost around 130. Somebody in the chat is saying wrong screen. Thank you. I'm pulling them up right now. They're around 130 in material costs, so selling around 190, so similar margin there. So That's the Mamba, the Mechabal, the Alligator, and the Kizriel. Expect them to continue dropping in price, right? This always happens. New expansion. Not only are the BPCs rare, but also the raw materials that go into these, the microcerrosin gas. It was already in short supply when these were released, and now they're being produced, and so the prices for microcerrosin has completely gone through the roof. If you look, for example, Celadon or Celadon microcerrosin here, which is one example, it's just through the roof, right? Before the expansion, prices of around 100,000. Now we have a price of 260,000. So that's a 2.5 times increase on the price. So, and it's not the only one. We have Viridian microcerrosin. You look at the trajectory, it's exactly the same. So right now, it's the time to go and huff some gas. First of all, second of all, expect this is a direct reaction to the Havoc expansion. So of course these prices are going to come back down, but this double whammy of limited supply plus very high gas prices just make these new faction ships very, very expensive right now. If you can just wait. It really does make a big difference. But of course, there's a lot of people that want to fly those ships now, and so that's just how it is. Now, other things that are trending up, looking at the bar guest for example, Pirate Faction battleship. Certainly, some of this has to do with the Winter Nexus event coming up. Last year on the Winter Nexus event, if you look at the bar guest prices last year in mid-December, they were spiking as well. Ships like the Rattlesnake, the bar guest. Let's see, we can look at other battleships in here. The Nestor, not so much last year. I think the Rattlesnake, definitely. The Rattlesnake last year went up from around 1 billion to around 1.3 billion in the Winter Nexus, and certainly some of the Marauders as well. If you look at Paladin prices, for example, last year Winter Nexus really made prices spike there as well. So expect the combination there as well. High microcerrosin prices as well for those faction ships, plus the event going on, all of that really is making ships more expensive, and it's going to make prices rise right now anyway, and Winter Nexus is going to make everything even worse. One thing you could think about, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people were also using the Praxis last year. As always, people use the Praxis all the time for a lot of things as a cheap alternative to things. You can see that the Praxis last year during the event went, from around 185 to 200 million. This year that might be even worse, and the price hasn't really come up all that much, which is surprising. So I would expect the Praxis to come up in price probably as well over the next few weeks. Might be a good investment if you're out there. So that is battleships in the Winter Nexus. If we look at other things, actually we can go over here. If we look at other things trending up, interestingly enough, the Jackdaw as well. The Jackdaw as a tier 3 destroyer, from a rare material prices, it shouldn't be all that much, but it's up to 100 million. This is a very, very high price for a Jackdaw. So right now, if you're running Jackdaws in Dark Abyssals, if you're dual boxing them or running them with your friends, it's bad news for you. Certainly, very, very, very expensive right now. Titanium is a moon material that has spiked in price. Interestingly enough, also contaminated Lawrence fluid, the salvage material, also spiking in price. So we have some very some of these very, very large raw materials spiking in price, which overall, indicates like one big explanation for that probably is a lot of new players returning for an expansion is typically not people returning to go mine, or it's typically not people to come back to huff gas. Those are more the people that never left, that are doing it, continuously. People that come back typically come back for the new content, and in this case, the new content is blowing up ships. It's doing pirate faction warfare, right? It's might be doing these events, and so all of that is exacerbating the problem that we have high raw material prices, and this is going to make ship prices go higher over time as well. Not to mention that the Winter Nexus event is going to inject a lot of ISK into the system because of Blue Loot. Therefore, we're going to have very much pressure on prices already anyway, because a lot of people are just going to have a lot of liquid ISK lying around, and this is also not going to contribute to raw material prices going down. So expect a January of very high prices. If you have liquid ISK lying around, it's probably a good idea to invest it now and not have it lying around, because just having it lying around is probably going to devalue it overall. All right. What else do we have in terms of high volume? Let's quickly talk about agency drugs. Yeah, we talked about those in the past few weeks as well. Agency drugs took a hit in October. Again, these are only released for events and through special rewards. So, and they're in very high demand, very high trade volumes on all of the agency drugs. Pyrolantia are the most popular ones because they are just a plain damage increase. They dropped in price in the Halloween event because they dropped at increased rate, and we didn't have an in-game event for a long time. They have recovered a little bit, right? They're going to drop again. So we're going to see, this is agency Pyrolantia 3, for example. We're probably going to see 20 million prices on those. That's a double whammy, right? So if you're still holding them, either sell them now or be prepared to then sell them again in February or March, because overall, there's this was just the period where it could rise again, and then having them drop again in the next event is just going to make them drop down. But we discussed this in the past. Just be aware of them. Don't have sell orders, or high buy orders out there when the event starts next week. Wait a little bit for the price to drop and then put your buy orders out. Okay. Let's see. Largest supply drop. Again, we're seeing the Barghest. This is just an explanation of ships being bought out, and whoever bought these out, probably a good deal, because not only is there going to be additional demand for them, but also the increased gas prices hadn't really hit them all that much, right? So they weren't trading at ridiculously high prices. So probably, good on whoever did that buyout. That was interesting. If we're talking about things like the heavy entropic disintegrator, this is the spool up weapon for trig ships. They have been increasing in price because of the increase of the raw materials that go into it, crystalline isogen and what's the other one? Crystalline isogen 10 and 0-point condensate is the other one. Those two were increasing in price because not a lot of people were running abyssal sites. They have been coming back down. So if we're actually looking at, we can look at their individual prices. You can see they spiked high in late November, but since then prices have normalized quite a bit. So if you're looking at when people are buying up heavy entropic disintegrated at fairly high prices, these aren't going to be rising in price anymore. They're going to be dropping in price rather, because they're fairly easy to make, and if raw materials drop, expect them to drop as well. So right now is not a time to buy Triglavian ship modules at increased prices. Just wait a week or two and these prices will come down if you can wait. Okay. Now, what's in short supply? Interestingly enough, Asteros are in short supply. Let's look at this. There's only about 30 Asteros left in the JITA market for a ship that trades about 200 a day. That is very, very, very short supply. It's not a time to buy an Astero. Yeah. It seems like all ships that are going to be useful for the Winter Nexus, they're already being bought out, and it's not necessarily just because people were buying them out for the event. They were already expensive because if you look here in October, Sisters of Eve LP was already expensive for the Halloween event, and now it's getting even worse. So, so many of these ships are rising in price, are going to be expensive. So I look forward to people coming up with maybe alternative fits of cheaper ships to fly in the Winter Nexus event, because you're going to need a lot of ISK to invest in your fits if you don't have them lying around yet. Now, what else? We can look at trending down. Interestingly enough, the bowhead is trending down, but that's just because it was trending up. Same with the porpoise. It was high in the past. We got to talk about neurovisual input matrix. Okay, neurovisual input matrix was, after the Halloween event, was trading at an all-year high of around, what is this, 300,000 a pop. Now these are needed for strategic cruisers. So if you want to fly a Tengu, you want to fly a Loki, that's what these are for, right? And this is a huge chunk of the cost that goes into them. I think I've mentioned that in previous weeks. Now, if you look at their prices, if you look at Tengu prices, very high because everybody wanted them for the Halloween event. Same with the Loki. Price was very, very high, right? So if you're looking at what this means overall, the Loki and the Tengu are also going to be, they're a viable alternative for the Winter Nexus event, but they're already trading high, so that's going to be pushing up. So really, what you need to be doing here is you need to run sleeper sites. If you have a way to gain this ancient salvage, this neurovisual input matrix from sleeper sites, right now is the time to do it, because it's never been more profitable, right? Even better, if you are a trader and you have these lying around, right now is the time to sell. The price has come down since middle of November, but now I fear that it's not going to last, because people are going to have to fly something for the Winter Nexus event. Something that let's go to underpriced. Okay, underpriced, my favorite category. What's currently underpriced? Yes, the Agency Pyrolencia stuff, but this is the Agency Pyrolencia are about to become even more underpriced, so right now is not the time to actually buy them. The Athanor is very interesting, because the Athanor overall prices right now are under 800 million. We haven't seen under 800 million all year, right? Like last December is the last time we saw under 800 million pricing. So the big driver for that is a drop in planetary interaction goods, so PI goods. They have had their volume decrease. Skill farming is profitable, so there are a lot of reasons why a lot of PI is being created, I think. And so, now with players coming back, it's very interesting that we have very, very low Athanor prices. Now these are not low because they're trading way below production costs, but these are just low because raw materials are dropping. Then again, there's going to be a point where they will start rising again, because people do stop making PI. So if we're looking at where is PI in the grand scheme of things, right here, this number is what you want to look at. So right now, PI overall is trading at 93% of 52-week average, right? So that means it's trading 7% under the 52-week average for all PI materials combined. That's not insane, but it's significantly lower than it has been trading at, right? So overall, if we look at structure prices, for example, right here, they're trading at 95%. There's probably still a little bit of drop to come in structure pricing, but then at some point they will also rise again, depending on various other factors. I'm not saying it's a good time to buy them, but Certainly if you need them and you need a lot of you need a lot of, my voice is getting robotic, really? Hold on. Fix this. Testing 1 2. Is it better? Better. Is it better? Yeah, okay. Yeah, my mic is on the front. I need a new mic apparently. So yeah, I'm. It's not a time to invest in structures necessarily, but if you do need a lot of structures in the long run, it's definitely not a stupid idea to buy them right now. Okay, I think that's it. That's it for the Oz report for December 2nd, 2023. We'll return to the regular stream and see you guys in Vegas next week.